Welcome to another episode of the Lovers and Things podcast,
where your favorite couple's favorite couple
talks about the things they love.
That was very
Oh, good.
very spiritual.
Thank you. I'm feeling a little, spiritual today.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm Lex.
And I'm Greg.
And welcome back to another episode, guys.
Another episode.
A special episode of the podcast.
Yes.
Because you and I are celebrating 5 years of marriage. I was like, what are you fumbling for over there?
5 years, y'all.
5 years. We'll be married for 5 years.
This week.
Yeah, this week. I was like, wait, at the time y'all listening to this, it won't be officially 5 years. It won't be for another couple days. But this week, we've been married for 5 years.
5 years of marriage.
Marriage.
Yes.
It's been so fun.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yo, listen, like 5 years feels... It's not 10 years, right? But it is like a moment.
Literally, it's not 10 years.
It's literally not 10 years. When people are like, oh, 10 years. But 5 years is a milestone.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth talking about and celebrating a
Doing anything for 5 years is a milestone, honestly.
Listen, doing anything for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you want to, since we're going to do things a little different
this
week, you want to walk people through what we got planned for everyone?
Absolutely. So today, we actually put a poll on Instagram, and you guys shared some of the questions that you have for us in terms of love and marriage and just our perspective. And I do want to caveat this with this. Greg and I are not relationship experts. That's not what we claim to do, but we've been married for 5 years. We've been together for 12,
10,
13,
at least over 10.
A little over 10 since 2011. And so we know a little bit of something.
Yeah.
And so we don't usually talk about this stuff, but we're going to do it today. So you will get a Q&A. We're going to give you a little bit about our history, how we got together and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, because this is the Lovers and Things podcast, we are going to give you some things that we love in terms of just like marriage and love and keeping things aligned, if you know what I'm saying.
I love that.
Very exciting.
Yes.
All right. So thank you guys for sharing your questions. And we're about to dive right on in.
Dive in.
But I think we should give the people a little bit about who we are as a couple and like how we got together, because I think we kind of just cruise through the fact that like we're together, but we don't really dive in, because again, the podcast isn't a relationship podcast.
Right.
So we talking about other stuff.
Right. Yeah. And to reach to this point of being everyone's favorite couple's favorite couple,
wild.
You have to roll the clock back a few years.
A lot of years.
It started in college, right?
Classic college love story, really.
Classic college love. These were the Facebook days, y'all. Facebook, where people were active and writing comments on walls, each other's walls, and there was a feed aspect. This is rolling back the hands of time.
Yeah.
And there was a Lauryn Hill concert she was coming to Orlando, and I put a post out there because I wanted to go, and I didn't want to go by myself. I wanted to extend it out to my network, and we happened to be Facebook friends.
Yeah.
But this was back when you added everybody as a Facebook friend.
Yeah. So
like everybody was just your Facebook. Anyone that was in the school was your Facebook friend.
Greg and I weren't in each other's circles per se. He was an engineering major, so he was on a separate side of the campus most of the time than I was. I was a comm student, so we didn't run in the same circles. We didn't really have many mutual friends. We just happened to connect with each other by way of an on-campus fashion organization that we were
and
both
also,
a part of.
Black UCF is small.
So
I think you see familiar faces.
Yeah.
You just add everybody, right?
Yeah, that's sort of the thing.
Right.
And so we became friends sort of that way. Friends. When I say friends, I mean like
friends.
Facebook friends. Like we didn't hang out, we didn't talk.
Other.
That was it. And so, I saw that he had a post about Lauryn Hill. And if you know anything about me, you know that Lauryn Hill is one of my favorite artists of all time. And so even though I didn't know Greg that well, I was like, oh, I love Lauryn Hill and it'll be all right. I'm gonna just go. And so I went, and that was like our first official meeting of sorts, I guess.
Yeah. We were in each other's space.
We were in each other's space.
Time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Although I think there might have been a few times before we were in the same room.
Oh, that's true.
But this was like our first time like face to face.
Oh, okay. Well, let me correct it then. We did have mutuals.
Yeah, we had a few mutual
We
friends.
had a few mutuals. And so that's true. So there were
A
like
few.
times where we were like at parties and you were at the same party as me, like things like that.
Right.
Yeah. But we didn't talk.
But this was like the first time we met and spoke a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that night vividly being compelled by this woman's face. And I was just like...
Not this woman's face.
It was just like glowing in the venue.
Face.
I was like, this woman is so beautiful. It was the hair. It was the look. It was it was very compelling. You looked very compelling. You still do. But I mean, I've never seen anyone like you before. So I was really drawn to this woman, right?
This is so funny
to the point where like I was so drawn to you and compelled, like earth shatter, cage rattling.
Now you being dramatic. Now you put
my cage was rattled.
You put it 20 on 10 now.
No. My cage was rattled. Like my cage was rattled.
You're a wild guy.
So then, literally the next day, which I got a notification from Chick-fil-A that they're doing this giveaway at the Chick-fil-A, and I'm like scrambling in my head thinking like, how can I get connected with Lex? You know, how am I I can't let time go too far. Literally the next day I texted you about this Chick-fil-A thing.
That's so funny.
And invited you to go get a free sample if you wore green.
Yeah.
And here you are today wearing
green.
And you accepted. You was like, sure.
I was like, why not? I'll go get some food. Yeah, that Lauryn Hill concert to me was a fun experience.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing you and thinking a couple of things. One, he's taller than I'd seen you, but like being next to you in a concert venue, I was like, oh, he's tall.
Uh-huh.
I remember noticing that, and you were so handsome, like, oh my gosh, and dressed so well. I remember exactly what you had on. You had on like a vest and this button-up shirt and these bracelets and denim and the the Sperry's. You had on these black Sperry's because we was in college during the time where business casual in the club was a thing. You have to understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, we're those millennials.
We're those people. And so I just remember saying, oh my gosh, he's so tall and handsome. Like he dresses really well. And you were just very kind. Like, you know how sometimes girls, you get like a skeezy vibe off of guys. There was like, no, like you were just so chill and so nice and just like accommodating.
Oh.
And it was just like an amazing experience. And I have to say this though, for the record, the reason why I didn't like think anything of it was because Greg actually came with another girl.
Yeah.
And so I assumed, because again, he had put this out to everyone. And so I assumed that like this girl was his girlfriend or whatever. So like after the concert, I thought nothing more of it. Like I kind of just let it go. Cause like, oh, yeah, another girl was there. Maybe that's his girlfriend, whatever. So when you gave me the text, I was like, oh, maybe he don't have a girlfriend. Let me see what he talking about.
Yeah, I didn't. But 20-year-old Greg thought it was a good idea to invite his ex to go to this thing.
That's right. That girl was
she was my ex. And I thought, this is 20-year-old Greg who's so enlightened and thought like, we're broken up, but we can be friends, right? That's a thing, right? People break up all the time and be friends.
Yeah.
No, that was I learned a lot from that. But yeah, I was there with my ex, and but nonetheless, outside of that, I was like, whoa, like I have to get with you somehow. And then did we talk about the Chick-fil-A?
Oh no! And so the next day, he'd invited me to Chick-fil-A, and he was like, "Oh, wear something green." Y'all, I ain't have nothing green.
Oh,
so
yeah,
me and my college money went down to the Ross, honey, immediately.
Ross.
When I say immediately, I mean immediately, and went and got a top that had like speckles of green in it. Like I bought a $12 top just for this occasion. Not this top, but a top.
It was green enough.
It was green enough
because we got Chick-fil-A together.
Yeah.
And we sat there and we talked and talked and I feel like I mostly talked, but we talked and talked.
That's very much what it's like today.
I was tap dancing. I was in there like I gotta make a good impression.
Yeah.
And then from that point thereafter, we hung out a few times and then we grew closer and closer together.
Yeah.
And I think we started to discover more about each other, and then the love grew.
Yeah.
into clearly what it is today.
Yeah. Yeah. We dated for
Like what, 6 years?
6 years before we got
6 years, maybe.
engaged.
Yeah.
We got engaged when I was 27 and we got
5,
married
6.
when I was 29.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, y'all do the math. I can't math it. I don't know.
Mhm.
But we were together that long before we got engaged, and then 2 years to get married. And in those years of dating, I just remember it being a lot of fun. Now, it was your normal 20s relationship, right?
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of growth that happened during that time. We
So
had
much.
graduated college and starting careers and trying to figure out who
Yeah.
we were as people. So those 20 years were so foundational in terms of like our relationship, our friendship, understanding each other as people. Who we are today, I would say, is not at all who we were during that time in our lives.
Yeah.
And so we have seen each other through various iterations of who we are.
Yeah.
Like, I've
Basically,
seen so many different versions of Greg.
The bulk of our 20s, and now the first half of our 30s,
Yeah.
like we've been through many of growth, and it's really interesting to look back at the years and to see how far we've come. But
Yeah.
it's more of like we've been molding this relationship to be better and better.
Yeah.
Like over time, it had its rough edges and its
Growing pains.
it's aspects to it that we needed to smoothen over the years to get to more and more like aligned as two souls.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like, as a woman, our dating phase to me at one point was extremely difficult because I thought we should have gotten engaged sooner. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
I thought we should have gotten engaged sooner because the world was telling me, you've been with this guy for like 3 years. Why aren't you guys engaged? I was 25 at the time, 24, 25.
I blame you, Steve Harvey.
Yeah,
Think like a man.
I actually read that
Head
book
ass.
with my friends, and we was real serious about that book too. We was so serious about that book. But looking back on it, I'm actually glad that we took the time to truly get to know each other and not rush into an engagement, and then building out the wedding of our dreams and what we wanted. Because again, so much learning and growing happened for me as a person during those times, during that time of my life.
Likewise.
And I feel like when we got married was the perfect time for us. I was so sure about you. So sure. And the entire process of being engaged and getting to the wedding was so smooth. Like,
So smooth.
there was not a single bump, not a single argument, there was no push and pull, because I think, well, at least for me, I'll let you share your perspective. I was so sure about what we were doing and what we were locked into that there was nothing for me to doubt.
Yeah. And I think we were patient with each other.
Yeah.
I think, even the 2 years that we took in engagement to build up to the marriage day, I couldn't imagine maybe shaving more than like 6 months off of that timeline.
Yeah.
From in that time of our lives.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of moving to a new city. We picked up our lives and left Orlando and moved to New York City, and really had to find a new way, as well as planning a marriage.
Yeah.
Back in Florida.
Yeah. We did all that at once. That's crazy when you
Right.
think about it.
Yeah. Adjust to a new area. Set up a new apartment and a new living space because we sold a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And then plan a wedding.
Yep.
In the midst of all that.
All at once.
So I think being honest and patient with each other kind of helped us just get through that engagement process.
Yeah.
Kind of locked in, knowing that we have the same goals and we're being fair to ourselves and not rushing things in a sense of like the literal execution of the planning. And also, we were an old couple by that point, so we knew each other so well. During the wedding, I remember we exchanged vows, and like it was just such a love-filled day, and it was like a mount, like being at the summit of a relationship in that regard. Far as like we climbed to this point, and having all of our friends and family around us in that day, and in the sun light like basking the room, and I'm looking into your face, and then we're at that moment, and it's like looking into the face of your friend, your lover, your soulmate, and just being like, let's do this. It just felt like like we fell into it as opposed to like we had to climb to get to that point, you know, or like not climb, but like there was like a lot of tension. It was like it just felt like, yes, this had to happen.
Yeah.
Because we were together for so long, and we've actually worked and build to have that harmony between us.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. Like our wedding day was so beautiful and effortless and truly felt like a celebration of our love. It just felt like it was supposed to happen. It was the most like this is supposed to happen type thing. And I think, you know, over the years that we had been together, which is why, you know, I fully recommend this idea of a longer engagement for people. Like if you're locked in with somebody and you know you want to marry them, having a longer engagement, ours was 2 years, it's not a bad thing, because those are good years that you can continue to build trust. I think the years that we had been together prior to us getting married were years where we really built a foundation of trust, and that foundation has carried us through our marriage. Like I trust my husband, and that's just that I trust his opinion. I respect him as a man. I respect him as a leader of our household, and all of that is built on a foundation of trust that we had built over all of those years, and that would not have been the same had we not taken the time to really get to know each other. And grow together. Like when I say grow together, I really mean that, like through the uncertainties of your 20s, or the uncertainties of like your career and who am I as a person and what am I supposed to do? What is my calling on my life? Like through all of that work, we were able to remain together and grow forward together.
Yeah.
And I think it's, again, like set a really strong foundation for our marriage thus far. And I think we're lucky in that way, to be honest. Like I don't discount how lucky that we were able to do that.
Yeah, we softened that love rock into the increasingly smooth surface that you see today.
Yay!
Yeah.
Woo woo!
Yeah, so we're at this point now, 5 years.
5 years into
5
the
years
merge.
went by fast. I mean, two of those was a COVID, was a panorama.
That's true, because we got married in March of 2019, and then
the world shut down.
Yeah, and then after that, the world shut down, which is crazy. So 2 years of that was the panorama, and then the rest of them years was us recovering. And I feel like, and let me know what you think, I feel like it's gone at lightning speed. Like I feel like these 5 years have flown by.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much. This is a season. These past 5 years, our lives have been through so much change.
Yes.
Which, if you're a follower of this podcast, you know our journey from our career journey, our home purchase journey, our love journey, our family journey. But yeah, that's why 5 years went by so fast.
Yeah, a lot has been happening.
So we got some questions.
Yeah, so let's review. Let's do a 5 years in review. I'm just kidding. But let's dive into these questions. I'll go first, and we'll bounce back and forth, I guess.
All right.
But number one, how does 5 years of marriage compare to dating?
Okay. Because, you know, we've spent 5 years married and over 5 years dating.
Yes.
So we could actually actually answer that question.
Yeah, it's a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah. So what do you think? How does it compare?
You know, it don't feel too different. I'll be honest with you. Like there was let me tell you why. Okay. Let me tell you why. In terms of like how I feel for you, that hasn't changed. I think my love has grown over the last 5 years. But in terms of like how it compares, like I think in my mind when we got married, I don't know why I thought things would feel very different. Like how I feel about you, our relationship feels just as solid, if not more than before, obviously. Yeah. But there wasn't like this huge switch to like, oh, I'm married and like things feel different per se. I think it's more so the amount of time that we spend together.
Engaged. We also spent 2 years engaged.
2 years engaged. So I think, you know, the amount of time we spend together makes it feel different because we are literally with each other 95% of the time now.
Okay.
Versus when we first got engaged, like we weren't always like, there was like some transition points in there. But I think dating feels a little less secure, obviously, than when you're married. That's the only thing. Like my love for you hasn't, you know, that part has always been there, but like the security of marriage makes things feel a little bit different. The time that you're spending with somebody intentionally is a little bit different. So I'd say that's the biggest difference, but the amount of fun that we have together hasn't changed. The laughs have not changed. The giddiness and the excitement for our love has not changed at all.
The passion
The
is still
passion
there,
is still there, like all of that, and the marriage didn't change any of that. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I would say if you don't have them feelings about your person before you get married, you're probably not going to have them feelings about them after you get married. You
That's
know
a
what I
good point.
mean? You got to have it before. But I do think that like the security that I have in us as a couple is fortified by the fact that we're married and in covenant with each other. So that is very different. The way that I view you, I would say, as my husband, I revere you so much, right? Like I say this all the time. There's God, and then there's my husband. That's the order, honey. Like that's it. So the way that I respect you and revere you is a little bit different than obviously when we were engaged.
Yeah.
And so the love, you know, it's a little more all encompassing, I guess.
That's
Does that
a good.
make
That's a
sense?
good word. That's a good way to put it. The love is more all encompassing.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, when we were dating, obviously you have the aspect of getting to learn each other, and I think that's having intentional learnings is crucial. Learning meaning you're not to say that you're gonna hit every ball out of the park. You're going to land every shot, but when you do miss those shots, when you do swing and miss, you learn from it.
Yeah.
And I think when I started like learning and trying to think of it more like learning how to, like, these issues are opportunities of growth, and opportunities for us to learn. That's when we really started to build something.
That's
you know,
fair. That's fair.
You know, one thing I would say when I've said sorry to you a lot,
Yeah.
right? But
And likewise.
but I never want to be sorry. Like, I don't want to keep doing the same thing. And all right, Greg, you're sorry. Like, you suck. Like,
No, that's
so
real. Yeah.
I made mistakes, and I learned over them, and I never wanted to like repeat them. I think that's like a constant thing
Yeah.
from dating into marriage.
Yeah.
It's just by the time we got married, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's like a few like, you know, loose threads here and there that we can button up. But for the most part, that was a lot of dating, was like learning how to communicate with you.
Oh, that is so
And
true.
learning like, what are the things that you value? What is your love language? So dating was very intentional in learning. And also, yeah, the time, literally,
Yeah.
we saw each other on the weekends.
Yeah. We did not see each other a lot when we were dating.
We saw each other on the week because we were working.
We were working. We were at
and,
school
yeah.
at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw each other on the weekends. You know, we talk every night, but when you're married, that is sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
I'm looking in your face.
Yeah. Which is why, again, it's important to like your person because, you know, I like you. And so spending immense amount of time with you is not, it doesn't bother me a bit.
So I say that to say that there's a different way you communicate when you're married because y'all see each other so much.
Yeah.
Microaggressions can turn into macroaggressions when I'm seeing you every single day, right? That's what you gotta kind of hold back the extraness.
Yeah. Hold back the extra.
Because this person is having to live with you every single day, and some of the things that come to mind immediately as a reaction, you may want to hold back and kind of not to silence yourself, but to just be more mindful of how you're being received, and maybe the comments and all those things as a sum of time.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Whereas like when you're dating each other, if I do some, like, you know, there's space to recover from things, space to think on things. But a lot of times when you're married, you're in the moment a lot. So being just more sensitive is what I've gotten in marriage compared to dating, when we were just like having dates and things like that. And so the other thing is the dates become less like I had to do a lot of tap dancing when I was dating. You know, it's the this, it's the that. It's
when
the
I tell you, our dating era was an excellent dating era.
My goodness,
we did so. Greg was planning things left, and we were always doing something new and exciting when we were dating.
I was doing the most. Let's be honest.
Was doing so much. And when I tell you, like, the courtship, can I just say, bravo to you. The courtship was top tier. I can't. The flowers, the dates, the dinners, like this man was
dinners,
nonstop,
y'all.
and this was on a college student, recently graduated college student budget. I don't know how he managed
The entry level budget.
entry level budget. Like this man was
And
going
this
above and
woman
beyond.
likes to. She's just like me. She likes to eat.
I love
and
to
we love
eat.
a good diet. We're
Yes, we do.
the most aggressive foodies. Aggressive
Very
foodies.
aggressive. Very
So it was a lot of dining. What else did we do
we
aside
went
from
to
dining?
museums a lot.
Some travel.
Yeah, we started traveling together.
Yeah,
earlier
and then at a
on.
certain point, you was just like, what? Just relax. Like, don't need all
It'll
that.
take all day.
We could
no
just
more.
do something at the house.
Yes.
But yeah, you still date as a married couple.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more. It's just more like mutual planning.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I agree. Totally agree.
So yeah, that's my yeah. How does it compare? I'd say that the main difference for me is a lot more sensitive. Sensitivity, like just being more thoughtful about my communication, and now it's a time of like really foundation building for a family and for our futures, as opposed to dating time was like learning each other.
Ooh, that's
And
a
you,
very
I mean,
good
I
point.
guess you always learn each other, but that was a really important time to learn each other.
I agree. Good job,
Yeah.
babe. I love that.
That was a good question.
Very good question. What we got next? What's the next question?
All right, I'll read it.
All right.
What are qualities of each other you grew to love?
Oh, qualities of each other that we've grown to love over the last 5 years specifically.
Yeah.
I can take it.
Yeah.
I have learned to love your attention to detail.
Okay.
Greg has a high attention to detail. He's particular. He's particular about how he likes things, and he's a fixer, right? Because he's particular about things, he's a fixer. And in the beginning of our relationship, when I was learning him, I thought his particularness, it felt, because I'm sensitive, it always felt like an attack.
Personal attack.
It felt like a personal, like he would fix things. He would come behind me and fix things or move, and I would be like, well, what is this man trying to say? But like, I took it really, really personally when we first started dating. Like it was bad. But in marriage, I have learned that is because Greg cares about the quality of his spaces, cares about the quality of his life, cares about comfort and safety. And so he's particular about how things show up because he wants things to work well, because he wants things to be easy and comfortable for us, right? So I've learned that when he is, he'll often take on like little projects or want things to be a certain way. And I let him have the space to do those things and realize that is what he needs to do in order to feel good about what's happening in our home, what's happening in our space, and with the things that we own and things like that. And so I've learned to love that about you because it just shows that you care. You're not a man who is just going to let something go by the wayside or let our home go to shambles, or if something is leaking, you're going to fix it. You're really detail oriented that way, and I love that about you.
Well, I'm glad you love that.
Because
We've
I'm
come
not.
a long way. We've come a long
that used
way.
to get on my nerves, honey. But in marriage, it is it's good to know that your partner cares about the things in the life that you are building together, and I love and respect that about you now.
Yeah, I cared about our security and our safety.
Yes, very much so. He
I
does
don't
not
like when
play
things
about that.
break. So if I
No.
could prevent things from breaking, I
Yes.
would try to set that up. But then at the same regard, and I know that sometimes I can go too far, right? So
And that's where I come in to be like, it's okay.
bringing back the sensitivity aspect of it, there's some things I don't say anything about because another gem is like, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
Is calling that out. Like and a good analogy for me was, I would look at, okay, the things that I was obsessing over, what's the worst that could happen? It's spilled milk. Just wipe it up.
Yeah.
That's it. It's, like, what is the cost? Like, if it's like our house is going to get permanent, irreparable damage from this, yes, I'm going to speak up.
Yeah.
But there's certain things like I don't need to really be on it. Like, over, like OD, like OCD, like so what's the worst that can happen? Just replace it.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? It's a light fix. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to inform, and if I see something, say something, but not to the point where it's like like OD. But I appreciate your awareness of that and viewing it as a positive.
Yeah, I think you just have to learn your partner, and I've learned that about you, and because I've learned why you think that way and why it's important to you, then it becomes important to me, and then we end up balancing it. And then for me, it's just about knowing that's how he processes things, that's how he views things, and to just let you have it, because it don't cost me nothing to let you have it. I mean, if you want to do it, do it, and if you call something to my attention, I will try my best to adjust, especially if it's a serious issue, you know.
Yeah. So the quality of you that I grew to love is I love how sensitive you are. I love how at times I'm a brute. I am not a brute, but I am very like victimless. Like I think we had an episode about the saboteurs a few episodes back where you do this assessment and you identify the traits about yourself that's most likely to be at the center of sabotage in your life. Good episode. You guys should check it out. I can't remember the number. But one of the lowest saboteur that I had, which was basically 0, was victim.
It was, yeah.
I have a tendency to not think of myself as a victim, and not necessarily in a sense of like when bad things happen to me, I'll just move on.
Yeah.
Like when bad things happen to me, it'll just roll off my back, and I won't even dwell on it. I won't sit on it. I won't think about how those things made me feel. That's dangerous. That can create that can put you in a position where you never really feel your feels. And one of the things I've learned from you is it's okay to feel things. It's okay to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel a loss. You're gonna get up and you're going to move forward, but it's okay to have a moment to feel it. And I really appreciate you bringing that to my life, because I will just put my head down and just keep moving forward in spite of all the ups and the downs in life. And I think in the same regard, I don't necessarily sit my wins too much. So I think you've brought that into my life as well, of just being more sensitive and feeling my feels, and and being aware of all the things that is happening to me in my life. How does that make me feel? Being less literal and more figurative, and more in touch with, what's happening in my heart, But so I appreciate you bringing that to my life, because I'm closer to caveman than I am to anything else.
Caveman.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. And I think the 2 examples that we just shared honestly are like why we balance each other out in those ways, because I'm an overly sensitive person. Not overly, but I'm very sensitive. I'm super aware of everything that's going on in my mind, and I'm hyper aware of I try to read people emotionally, which is also not the great thing, because you're putting expectations on people. A larger thing.
Like you read between the lines.
Yeah, I read between the lines.
Which
of
we've had a discussion about that.
Yeah, like everything. So to have a partner who is a little more literal actually also helps me as well, because Greg says what he means. Like he's not saying anything extra. He's not implying anything. He's usually just saying what he's saying. And so I think we balance each other out in that way a little bit.
Yeah, I remember we had a moment relatively recently.
Yeah.
Mind you, we've been together for so long. We had a moment where I was like, why do you feel that way after I said that? And you're like, well, this, that, this. I'm like, no. I said that. I said, this is what I said.
And you're
like, but don't you feel this? Don't you think that? Like, I'm like, no, just that. Just that statement is it.
And I was like,
and you're like,
oh,
you just said it. Oh,
that's it.
And I was like, yes, babe. I said how I felt, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to have that, and have that communication bridge.
Yeah, I think we make each other feel safe because of it. You know what I mean? It's nice.
Any other qualities?
I love your humor. Your humor has always been something that I enjoyed about you, but being married to this man, I laugh all day.
We're a hot mess in the house.
There's never a moment where I'm not laughing with this man. He finds the humor in everything, and you have such like a What kind of humor is it? It's almost dry humor. There's a little bit of dry
Dry,
humor.
immature, very immature.
Like, I'd be like, what is happening?
The amount of pauses that get thrown around the house. Hey, yo, pause.
Hey, yo. Like, it's crazy.
The amount of pauses that get thrown around this house. You think we're a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah,
it's rough.
We are children when we are together. Yeah. But yeah, your humor, you keep me laughing and you keep me seeing like the bright side of things. And I love that about you because like every day is something new. And like we always gonna laugh. Like no matter what happens in the day, we gonna laugh about something.
Yeah. And it's to a point where I increasingly try to push the boundaries of what's funny. And I think I'm getting to a point where I've gotten too far. I need to reel it back.
There are some days where I'm like, did you just say that?
It's like that was offensive.
Like, why would you say that?
Yeah, but you miss all the shots you don't take, right? Just shooting. We're just out here shooting. These are just words.
The man is hilarious.
Yeah. I like your humor too. One of the qualities I do love about you, just in general, is how talented you are. That is, it's admirable. How talented you are. You just have skills that I don't even know when you've been working on it. You just have these, I know how to do this now. So that's very impressive. You are so smart. Like you learn things so fast and you are always searching for information, which is very admirable. And I think that's like what you provide to our family from a safety perspective, because you always are learning. There's this funny story. To compare how like insensitive and like kind of like whatever I am and how sensitive you are. It was before COVID hit. I was in Atlanta.
Oh, this story
with my friends.
That's a good one.
And this was like right at the cusp of it. It was to a point where we had a friend fly in from LA, and he. COVID hit LA like crazy. He came off that plane with a face mask on. And we were like, why are you wearing a face mask? What is going on? And he was like, guys, this thing is serious. This thing is this COVID-19 thing, it's real, y'all. It's real. And I was like, shut up. Like it's gonna go away. We've been through the bird flu. We've been through Zika. We've been through
not Zika. That's a throwback.
We've been through all the viruses. And I was like, I'll be another one of those. And then you're hitting me up. I'm over here doing Atlanta things, which is hookah, brunch, hookah in a packed club, after parties, Atlanta things, and you're like, oh, I think this is getting serious. You texted me and you're like, I'm gonna go buy some supplies, and I'm just like, well, it's fine. It's just gonna go away. It's not even in New York yet. And you were on it. You were on it early.
Lo and behold, when he flew back, I think he flew back from Atlanta just in time. Had he flown out any later, I don't know if you would have made it out, frankly, because the minute you came back is the minute I
didn't go back to work.
You didn't go back. Things went on lockdown immediately. Yeah. And I remember that whole time I'm like, babe, I can't find toilet paper up here. Babe, like, I think I'm gonna just try to order some gloves and masks. People saying we may need masks. And you're like, yeah.
I'm like, are you sure?
I'm like, I'm gonna just order it just in case, because it's looking a little serious up here.
So shout out to you for your sensitivity. I need your sensitivity. I'd be hung out dry by now.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So that's a great quality of yours.
I have one more for you. I love how kind you are.
Oh, I'm kind.
You are a genuinely kind person. And let me say, one of the things that made me super comfortable with you early on in our dating phase was the fact that your eyes were kind. Like for me, again, I read people. Eyes. Yeah, you had kind eyes. I read in between the lines with people, and you have such a kind and warm spirit, and it flows into everything that you do. And I love the way that you show up kind with me, with your family, with your sisters, with your mom, with your dad. Like, you show up as such a kind and genuine person. And I feel like in all my life, and as a people reader, I be reading people. There are so few people that I've come across that are as genuinely kind as you are. Like, I think you genuinely just want to be nice and do the right thing. And and it's so admirable. There's no ulterior motive. Like you just are who you are. And I love that about you. It's made me feel so safe and so comfortable with you since day one. And I love that about you. As someone who is admittedly extremely calculated, I think things through 1,000 times over. Like it's always like a thing like, and not to say that I'm not a kind person, but you're a different kind of kind. Like I think you're kind to your core. Like your soul has like, a bit of kindness just sitting on the bottom at all times.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think a lot of it stems from I have a very strong focus on integrity, and I'm very diplomatic.
Very.
So I think those together maybe create like a formula for like being fair and kind to people.
Yeah, very much
well, I'm
so.
glad you spot that.
I love that about you. That's my babe. Okay. Anything else? Next question.
Yeah. What's next?
My turn?
Yes.
All right. What is one thing that you have seen each other? Oh, what is one thing that you have seen each other grow as a person since you've been married? One way. Oh my gosh.
My eyeballs is.
Child, I ain't got my glasses on. What is one way that you have seen each other grow as a person since you've been married? Okay, this is a good question. This is good. You go first.
One way I've seen you grow. I've seen your sense of humor grow. You have gotten so much funnier. Like some of the stuff you be coming up with, I'm like, whoa, wow, this is a new Lex is out here shooting, y'all. So man, the jokes I've seen that growth.
Oh my
it's very
God.
Admirable.
Oh, that's funny.
The humor be humoring now.
Be humoring.
You're in the gym shooting, so I appreciate that. That goes a long way. I've seen you grow that way. I've seen you also grow in your confidence. I see you take on the world with a level of confidence now that I've seen grow. You've always been confident, but I'm recognizing the growth in how you take on the world, and I love to watch it. Yeah,
that's so sweet.
Yeah.
For you, you kind of hinted towards this earlier, like your emotional aptitude. I think seeing you become over the years more in tune with just who you are emotionally, like where you're existing and things that you're comfortable with and things that I've seen you explore. I've seen you explore different parts of yourself emotionally, and I know how difficult that is for anybody.
Yeah.
Particularly for men to really dive into those things. So I've seen you grow in that aspect, and I love that so much. I've also seen you grow in terms of your boundaries. You be setting boundaries now. You be setting boundaries, and I love that for you. Like you be like, I'm not like you be letting stuff kind of roll off.
Yeah.
And creating boundaries for what you know you need emotionally. And so I respect that about you. You've grown in that aspect over the last 5 years for sure.
Yeah, and I think you've helped me with that a lot. And also I think when you get older, you just start to get increasingly impatient.
Oh my God,
you just start to,
absolutely.
you just is like, what is this gonna take away from me? And you start to grow more intolerant to time wasting. So I think that's helped with age. But yeah, I think the same thing. Like I said earlier, I don't think there's another thing. There's probably something else, but those are the main things that stand out to me.
For sure.
Is your confidence, your sense of humor. I've seen lots of growth there.
Yeah. Oh, look at us growing together, growing and
y'all.
loving. All right, your turn. What's next?
All right, so we have another question. Have you had to change any of your family relationships or friendships since becoming married?
Oh, that's interesting. Have we had to change any family relationship? I assume that means like, have we had to alter our interactions with people since we've gotten married?
Probably alluding to that point that you made, the boundaries.
Oh, the boundaries.
I think obviously when you're married and you have someone that's you're responsible for, sometimes my friends' trips, or the outings I have, I just have to be mindful about the time and mindful that I know I got someone at home that is waiting on me and someone at home that, you know, I need to make sure it's safe and that I'm showing up for. So that's one thing. I think, you know, just healthy boundary management, because if I'm not at 100%, you suffer. So I have to be careful about how much access and how much people can take away from me, because my number one responsibility is you. And I want to make sure that I'm, you know, not too much getting away of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, not to say that no one can have access to me. Everyone does. My friends and family do have access to me.
Absolutely.
It's just I just have to be mindful and I have to be a better communicator to you, to manage your expectations, letting you know, hey, I've got this going on. My friends are coming into town. You know, is it cool if we host them? You know, my friends have this trip. Just like letting you know about things early and giving you time to prepare.
Yeah.
And to manage your time as well, because your day-to-days, if I'm gone or if I have to do something else, your day-to-day is impacted by that, you know? So I think that's probably the only way, is this boundary management and extra communication with you. My relationship with my friends and family are very supportive of me, and I have a great family unit. I have a great friends unit. These people around me they got my back, and they show up for me. They show up for us.
Yeah, very much so.
100%.
Yeah.
They are asking about you when they call me more than they talking to me. I guess they don't care. I guess there's nothing new about me. But when I'm talking to my mom, my dad, they're just like, oh yeah, how's Lex? What's going on with Lex? I'm like, she's fine, but I'm doing okay as well. So it's good to have that. There was something else that came to mind. I'm drawing a blank on.
It's okay.
Oh, context.
Oh,
so
yes.
we moved to a new city.
Yeah.
So we had to deal with long distance friendship relationships.
Yeah, that's different.
So that you got to we're
different.
throwing that into the mix of things.
That's
We
true.
aren't in our main core friends unit is in Orlando.
Yes.
So, you know, we moved, so that is a little bit of a difference there.
No, that's
But we
true.
still show up for major events, and
Absolutely.
we stay in touch with our friends down there and whatnot.
Yeah, we try not to miss anything big.
But how about yourself?
No, I fully agree with that. I think boundaries, and setting those boundaries and being aligned on what those boundaries are for both of us has been really important. And it's like, you know, again, the priorities, your partner, your household, your spouse is the priority. And so everything else has to come behind that. Is just the way it works for me, is the way it works for us. And I think, you know, my friendships, similar to you, everyone is so supportive though. Like, we have friends who we love and they love us individually and as a couple. And so there's also like a mutual understanding of how things work, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't had situations where anyone's like encroaching on my marital time or encroaching on traditional boundaries of our marriage. And I think that's largely because everyone just kind of gets it. So I guess we're lucky in that way.
Right.
And same thing with family. Our families are I don't have mother-in-law issues. I don't have father-in-law issues. Nobody's in my business. Like, there's so we haven't had to have any sort of conversations around like, you know, we're going to have to change the way we operate with each other. Things just kind of naturally went a certain way. And then like over time, we've just created, ways of communicating with our friends and family that kind of just, you know, protect us. And then we move accordingly, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so changes, yes. But that's just by way of the natural prioritization of my spouse. But yeah, but nothing crazy. I haven't had to cut anybody out of my life. I haven't had to like not talk to family anymore. Like, that's not the situation.
Yeah, and it's really unique. We do have some family in the area. One family member in the area,
My sister.
but yeah, we have a unique situation because considering we're long distance from our core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question though.
So we got another one.
We got a couple more, y'all.
What was the most challenging year?
Oh.
5 years.
Which one
What
was
the most challenging?
Oh, I mean, I'm trying to go back because it seems like such a blur because, again, 2 years of that was the pandemic, and that wasn't...
Pandemic was...
It was
an awful time.
We had a good time.
For the world. but we was in the house.
We had a
like
good
we were
time.
just in the house
Yeah, like
working from home.
we had fun.
We were very fortunate.
Yeah.
We had some challenges with job security and things like that.
That was. I think the transition of that can be tough.
But we are very risk adverse. We really set up our situation, our finances in a way that ideally we want as much as possible that could be handled under one income.
Yes.
We really try to not put too much pressure on us. So I think when we had some issues of job security like that, I think we were able to like lean on each other.
Yeah.
Which helped us get through.
Yeah.
I think that's the beautiful thing about marriage.
Very true.
Is you got a life partner that's got your back. Buying a house, furnishing a house has been a bit of a challenge, but we've been enjoying it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Just buying couches and TVs and stuff.
And buying stuff at the house. Yeah.
What was the most difficult year?
And can I say this?
The move?
Maybe the move was
The
difficult.
move was pretty difficult, but we were engaged.
Yeah.
And I guess you could count that.
That kind of counts, I guess. I mean, it's difficult for me to say because honestly, the challenges that we faced are very much like circumstantial. You know what I mean? Like we're moving, so that's tough. Or, somebody lost a job is always me. But someone lost a job, and so like we adjust.
Yeah.
And
those aren't really like those are challenging, but
So we haven't had any challenges that have felt crippling. It's more so been just like the flux of life. It's like it's the flux of life.
New location challenges,
new home.
Finding new habits. Because I know you mentioned earlier in the pod, like you wanted to make sure you have like have time for yourself and things like you're balancing your life and then finding new friends and finding new all the things that come with a move to a new city.
Yeah, so I don't view those things as marital challenges in terms of like the year. It's more so just like circumstantial. Like I had to find friends and I had to find a gym and I think
a tough time was the move because when we decided to move up here, you found it was mostly for your work, your career.
Oh, see, I didn't count that because we weren't married yet, but I guess it
like
does kind of count.
It was like a year before.
That kind of counts.
Let's roll that. It gives people something.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was going to give you something.
So, you wanted to pursue this career in beauty, so you identified work in New York City because it's a hub, it's a space for you to flourish in that environment. I have a background in engineering.
Yeah.
So New York City is not necessarily known for engineering. So when you moved up to here to start your career in this space, I had to find work up here. And that was challenging because I had a job in Orlando.
Yeah.
I was in there for a while. I was pretty locked in, growing and in that space. And I had to find work up here. And that did not take like a few weeks. That took months. And
that is fair.
You were up here on your own without me, and I was in Orlando. And there was a lot of times where it was getting pretty tense because months have gone by and I couldn't find work up here.
Yeah.
And it was almost a whole summer went by, and then it was really testing, because we both did not sign up for no long distance relationship. No. Right. And
no, absolutely not.
So it was very challenging, and fortunately I found something, and have been stuck. Luckily, I've stuck with it since then.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty tough time. Was like moving two lives to a new city, far away, and having to make sure that our careers are still viable at that point, because we need these careers. Like we were not going to throw away all this equity that we put in.
That's true.
To these career. At that point, we were not entry level when we left.
No,
we were like mid level, and we had really good. I had good promising opportunities in Orlando, and you were trying to lay down your foundation in New York, so you had really good foundation in New York City too. So it's like, how do we make both of that work? And through the grace of God and through sheer being having the opportunity present itself and being prepared, we were able to bring our lives together.
That's true.
In less than 6 months, I'd say.
Yeah, that's true.
Less than 6 months.
That was right. That
Just
was
about almost 6 months.
Yeah, and it was probably about
Because like May to November.
8 months before we got married. So I guess we can roll it into the first year.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, circumstantial. We had to move. Well, we didn't have to move. You supported me in my move to the city. And yeah, if we're going to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, that was probably one of the most difficult times of my life in general, because I felt so displaced. So I had left Greg in Florida, and my sister, thank God for her, was living in Brooklyn, but I was sleeping on her couch for a number of months until I could find a place for Greg and I in the city, because the plan again was for him to come up, for me to start, and that whole sort of jigsawing thing. And that part was very difficult because I was starting a new job at a very large corporation, and so the not the stress of that, but really just like the expectation of wanting to do well and knowing that you're kind of displaced a little bit.
You risked it all to go there. It has to work.
Risked it all. Literally risked it all to start that job. And so the pressure of that, and then also not having my partner, was emotionally draining. I think that was the thing. It was emotionally draining. And so once we were able to get settled into Jersey, which is how we ended up in Jersey, everything started to make sense from there. Once we got planted there, got our apartment, got everything moved in, then everything, was swimmingly from there.
But the time before that was
the tough part for sure. Yeah. All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah, read the next one.
What would you say are our greatest strengths as a couple? What would you say your greatest strength as a couple is?
Because we're, your favorite couple's favorite couple. So what's the proof? What's your resume?
What's the proof?
Our greatest strength as a couple, I think,
is that you're going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
Is that we like each other. That's our greatest strength. I didn't
think you was going to say that.
Our greatest strength is that we actually like each other.
That's true.
That's like a really important thing.
That's true. That's good.
Yeah, I think that's a very great strength. I think that's what makes good couples strong, is that y'all like each other.
Yeah.
And that radiates through.
Yeah. You know what? Yes, I'm going to agree.
I like you.
I like you too.
You like me?
I like you so much.
Y'all heard that.
I like him a little bit. But yeah, I agree. I think because we genuinely like each other as people. We like each other as people. We like what we've developed into romantically. We're attracted to each other. Like all of that just kind of works together to make its own thing. So I think that's just our greatest strength. And because we like each other and we've lived life together, we also have, I would say, respect for each other. I don't know if, you got to respect your partner. You like them, so you respect them. And because you respect them, you take care of them. I think it all kind of flows together. I like you, so I want to protect you. I respect you. And so it becomes this whole, again, an all encompassing thing. But it does start with the like. I like you. And I want to see you do well. And I want to see us do well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a person. And then also romantically, you're that guy.
Yeah, you got a whole snack over here.
Oh my gosh, and I'm blushing because you're so fine or whatever. But
so what were you gonna say before that?
I was thinking, we've really grown. This is something we've grown into. Well, we've grown to be really good communicators with each other.
Communicators is a great strength.
We be talking. Communicate. When I tell you, and some of you have even mentioned, do y'all actually talk like that? Like the podcast? Is it scripted? Do y'all talk? We really be talking to each other like this every day. And so I think our communication is one of our best friends.
Right.
We will figure it out.
I think the most important part of this is the fact that we have really honed in on us being on the same team.
Yes.
Yes. We run into issues all the time. That's part of life. We run into challenges, miscommunications is what I like to call them.
Yeah.
That may lead to an argument.
Yeah.
But we're not arguing to win. We're arguing to communicate. We're arguing to learn. We're arguing to connect. We're talking and we're listening to each other as we do that. We're actually communicating as we try to solve the challenge that we have been confronted with. So I think not fighting to win and wanting to knowing that I got your back, no matter what, I got your back. I want you to win just as much, because when you win, I win.
Yeah.
And you view it the same way in your perspective. So I think that communication is another a superpower of ours.
Yeah.
Is being able to talk through things. And I want to make sure I create a safe space for you to express how you feel. I want you to be able to come to me and talk to me about the frustrations that you're having, or the things that aren't really making sense to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is the fact that we like each other.
Yeah, that's
And our
very
communication.
important. Very important. Yeah, and I agree, and I will say that the minute I committed to this idea that we were working on the same theme, our relationship got easier for me. There was a point where, because of my own perspective, because of my own hurts and traumas and things that I had seen in my life, I didn't know if we were batting for the same team. And it had absolutely nothing to do with you, because you have been consistent. You've always been trustworthy. You've always been that has always been you. There's never been a time.
But we have our biases.
Yeah, I have and so my biases led me to believe that, like, I don't know, like, I ain't really seen, like, but the minute I fully committed to the idea that we were on the same team and we are rocking through life, and this is when we were dating before we got engaged.
Yeah.
But once I locked into that, things got so much easier.
Yeah.
Because you go through life knowing that, like, you're not going through it alone. Like, Greg's got my back. Like, if there's anything going on, Greg is coming. Like, Greg is coming.
Don't play by mine.
And yeah, you probably don't want him to come. And so it's one of those things where just relying and trusting your partner that way makes life so much easier, because I can't trust the world. The world is weird and unpredictable and unkind, but I know that my husband has my back. And whatever we go through, whatever decisions that we are making, whatever decisions that you're making as an individual, I know you are making those decisions with us in mind. And I think being able to trust that has made our relationship, through my perspective, so much easier, Yeah.
And then I think it helps bring perspective to, when we have grievances for that we want to bring to each other, or things that that's not working for us.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why I'm bringing this to you is not because I want things my way or I'm selfish, because I want us both to find a middle ground and to both win. So when you bring something to me, I don't look at it as like, oh, Lex wants something for what Lex wants is she wants something that works for us. Yeah. Because we're all on the same team. So I think that helps put context or perspective. Yeah. To when, like, we bring things to each other.
I fully agree. It's a beautiful thing, actually, and yeah, I love that.
All right.
Woo, woo, woo.
So we have a question here that says, "How did you guys know you found the one?"
Oh, that's that's a good one.
I knew I found the one when I just couldn't not be with you.
Oh, that's
like
so sweet.
The idea of not being with you far outweighs everything else. And that, that's when I knew. I was like, ooh, life is not good without this woman. So that's when I was like, all right, this is the one.
Oh my gosh.
I want this. I need this in my life.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet, honey.
So that's how I knew I found the one.
Oh, not me being a little mush over here. Oh my God. Thank you for saying that. I knew that I had found the one when, frankly, I could feel safe around you, and I could trust your vision of our lives together. There was a point where it's like, I think safety is important for women. Okay. And the way that you have loved me has made me feel incredibly seen. And I can be my authentic self with you. You don't expect anything of me other than for me to be Alexis. And I think that is when I knew that like, oh, this is my guy. Like he lifts me up in everything that he does. And again, I just feel seen. And that is so important for me as someone who is a self-proclaimed perfectionist and has been very performative in some areas of my life, to just be with you and to know that you love me in that way. And then I said this to my friends on my during my bachelorette party. The minute I met you, so much good came into my life.
Yeah.
I've met some of the best life friends because of you. I had, by way of your encouragement, had a clear vision of what my future was going to be because of your support. You brought so much good into my life and so much safety, and just, again, the way that you loved me. I can't you're the person, you are the guy. Like it all came together. And similar to you, like my life without Greg is a sad one. Like I need you, like not being able, and that's the thing. We be acting like we don't need, I need you. And I mean that in terms of like, you are the perfect addition to my life. I'm a whole person without you, but I'm greater with you. And why would I not want to be great? Like, you are an amazing addition to my life, and you're just my person. And I knew it.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
And also, you're a snack. So,
Bye, Greg.
you look good. I think we fit each other very well. Like when we hug, it's like
physically, we're like the perfect little thing. I lay right
like
on
your
your chest.
height.
It's great.
You're like we're locked in like two puzzle pieces.
Yeah. I like to say, and I say this from time to time, like it's crazy that like as I was growing up in Sarasota, Florida, God was like cultivating this man in South Florida, a couple miles down not a couple miles, quite a few miles, but miles down the road. And it's like, I always think of like how our lives led us to each other. And it's just crazy that like, I really feel like God made you for me. When God was like, okay, I have a plan for Alexis's life. I got the guy. He's down there and they're going to meet. Like, I literally feel like you were made for me.
Yeah, it's real. When you find that one, like when you find that one, people like whoever's here, when you find that one, you got to lock in.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. As much fickle, sometimes I know what it was like because I was in that era of like fickleness, and when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And when you that feeling, like listen to that voice in your head that's like, I can't see myself without that person.
Yeah.
Like borderline obsession, but I'm not that obsessed. Like I am obsessed with you, but like I'm as healthy obsession.
You have a life, yeah.
I have a healthy obsession of you. But like when you know, like when you feel it, you gotta trust that feeling.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll make your life will be better because of you trusting that feeling.
Yeah.
That voice that's drawing you to that person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Love.
The one.
You're the one that I long for. Okay. The last question.
Yeah.
What is one way you would like to see us grow as a couple over the next 5 years?
One way I'd like to see us grow. I feel like our careers are on autopilot at this point. I feel like we've done a lot of investing in our careers and we got that locked down.
Thank you, Lord.
I do want to see us grow, and this is personal, maybe it spills over to you, of defining that home life. And this is what this pod is about, is home life. But really, curating that, continue to curate that home life for us. Home life is, what does our mornings look like? Yeah. What does our afternoons look like? What does our evening look like? What is life at home? That even includes what is life outside of home. What do we do away from home? Yeah. Like really creating that beautiful life is what I want out of us in the next 4 years. And I've mentioned this many times in the pod, is I am working my way out of grind mode. Yeah. I have PTSD from the struggle. I have been working hard for a lot of years, and I see us now defining a happy and healthy day to day. Yeah. that is not so not I'm trying to remove the workaholic in me.
That's
I'm trying
good.
to take that out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I see for us is continue to craft this home life. And that's what we share in the pod. We share like how we're updating our home, how we're the aspects of our life that we want to share in the sense of crafting that home life. So
That's
yeah,
good.
I think that's what I like to see us to continue to build on.
That's good. I love that.
Yeah.
I agree. Less workaholic-y for sure. Which leads me to like a lot. This is a transparent moment. I think Greg and I have, we're in our mid 30s now, and that came up on me quick. It came up on us quick, I think.
Yeah.
I think we got engaged at 27, 28-ish, got married 2 years later. And then that move that we were just talking about happened. So these last 5 years, 2 years of pandemic, like things have moved very quickly. These last 5 years feel like they've moved very fast. And so I think because we're at a point in our lives where things are less hectic. Again, we're at a point in our careers, which we did intentionally prioritize. That was an intentional choice. From a financial perspective, just simple ambition perspective, that's who we are as people. I do not regret that. I think that now that I'm sitting back and I'm looking at my life and what I want next, and in the slowing down and in the balance, I'm looking forward to us growing our family. And that's just me being completely transparent. I would love for us to grow our family. And one of you actually, when we posed the question on Instagram, one of you is like, and if there are any baby questions, let me know and I'm pulling up. Because truth be told, we don't like to be in women's uteruses, okay? If you decide to be a parent, that's your business. If you don't, love you all the same. But I think I'm at the point in my life, and we're aligned on this, that we would love to expand our family. So God willing, that is something that we'll be able to do in the next 5 years as well, and continue to share the beauty of our love with a little person or two or three.
Yeah.
But God willing, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I see that as part of home and part of expanding the beautiful aspects of life.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the journey, y'all. Who knows?
That.
We'll check back in 5 years and see where we are at with those things.
Yeah, and you guys can follow along, of course.
Of course, we're here every week
through no big deal. The apps.
That's amazing.
All right.
Well, so that was it. Those are the questions.
Do you want to do things we love? Do we have things we love?
Yeah.
We have time for that?
Do we? Let's just choose one. We're doing one. Let's do one. The one each.
Okay.
Things we love.
Shimmer, shimmer.
You got to get rid of that eagle now.
That eagle is here to stay.
Okay, that's fine. See, this is
the wild girl.
Okay, well, marriage is about compromise, so that's fine.
Things we love.
Yeah.
5-year anniversary edition.
Yeah, and I think we just want to share one thing each that we feel like has been instrumental in helping our marriage along.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years. Go for it. You want me to go first? You look unprepared.
One thing I love is couples journaling.
Cute.
You know, sometimes you gotta come back home. Like you gotta have like a sit down moment with your life partner and just talk.
Yeah.
And I think we have a structured journal that we created that we it's kind of like prompts in little sections. And it was pretty cool actually. It might be something we should offer up as a thing that we can give to our listeners. But it was a section there where you can, throughout the week add little love comments. You have our things we have to do that week, any budgeting notes, highlights, lowlights, things we need support with that week. But it's good to like just check in on each other and just have a moment of like just connecting. I think over the years we've become less structured than that. We would just have it and like just throughout the day and throughout the week automatically.
Yeah.
But starting with that a structured like every Sunday or whatever it may be, whatever day works for you, just coming together to talk and journal is the thing that I love.
Yeah. That's good. I agree. That journaling was so helpful when we literally had just started our marriage. Sundays, we would walk over to this little park, and in this journal, we would just journal in the format that we had decided on, because we are those people. We would go through and do our priorities, what we are doing this week, the things we're focusing on. Do we need to go grocery list? The whole thing. We did the whole thing. Yeah. And it was helpful. Now we just do it automatically, but it was good.
Yeah. That's the thing that I love.
Awesome. My thing is not a thing per se, but it's a recommendation kind of a little bit.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a thing. I'm going to say this, and I'm saying this particularly for my ladies. Well, okay. All right.
That's a lady.
That's a lady. Sometimes the culture around marriage is very much so that once you get married, or your preparation for marriage, your life becomes your marriage, your life becomes your husband, your life becomes your family, which, if that's the way you choose to do things, that's fine. But one of the things that has helped me in my marriage is having routines that ensure that my cup is filled, so that when I'm entering my marriage, my space with my husband, I am my full best self, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, the priority in my life is God, my husband, and everything else falls behind that. So God, husband, and then my family, and then everything else falls behind that. But I've got to take care of myself somewhere in that scenario, right? And so my personal routines that I have been committed to, I am committed to my spaces that I need for my mental health, for my physical health, and things like that. And that is because I want to feel good about who I am as a person, so I continue to be the Alexis that Greg loves, continue to be the Alexis that I love, right? And so what I like to do, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you know this, I'm a workout girl. I am a hanging out with my friends from time to time to get that girly time in. I am a connecting with my family on a weekly basis, because those things fuel my spirit, and it's important for me to feel like me in my marriage. And so I recommend that you do that. I know it's easy to get caught up in the idea that this is your man and he's so fine and he's so delicious and it's everything about him. And yes, he is all those things, but you're important too, sis. And so having a routine, I think, throughout our marriage has helped me to have those moments to myself. There are moments where I am meditating. There's moments where I am communing with God. There are moments where I'm taking care of my physical body, so I can stay the way I want to stay for my man. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of those things contribute to having a healthy and happy marriage for me. And so having that routine is what I'd recommend. Like, I want to be my best self for you. I want to be my best self for my family. And so I create those spaces for me to do that. And you support me in doing that, might I add, which is also pretty cool. So I want to say that. That's something I love.
I love that. I love that too. And I think, you can't show up for, there's that classic line. I don't even know if it even really makes sense, but like, put on your face mask, like when you're on a flight, an emergency happens, put on your face mask,
help somebody else,
and then help someone. I think it's so important that we make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, and I think that's a very important aspect. Having your own routine, not getting lost in the marriage sauce. Also, you kind of putting too much on your partner too.
Yeah,
if you expect them to be your girlfriend, your man, your chiropractor, your
not your therapist, your therapist,
your fitness, your chef, like okay. Maybe like let's some distance makes the heart grow fonder. Yeah. Also, it's healthy to just make sure that you're not living a one-sided life. Yeah. So I would agree with that. Having a good personal routine allows you to show up for others in your best.
Yeah, exactly. And then to add on to that, and this is the last thing, I promise. Outsourcing things, ladies. Outsource the things. And gents, you do not get a gold star and a cookie at the end of every month because you did all the cooking and the cleaning, and you were on your man's out there hoeing stuff and running. You don't get a gold. No one cares. Okay, to be honest. So if you have the resources, or if you need more time to support your marriage and your personal, mental health wellness journey to be your best self in your marriage, start outsourcing that stuff. Some things that we're super fans of, Thumbtack. Hubby uses all the time to find somebody to come do stuff.
Because I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm a millennial. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm a millennial, and I know millennials. One thing a millennial gonna do is a DIY.
Yeah.
And stop it. Stop it with the DIYs.
It's fine.
Some projects that you feel comfortable with, sure, go for it. just you will see it on TikTok, people rebuilding houses. Because that's what they got time to do that. You ain't got time to rebuild, nor the skill set, nor the tools to rebuild, your house. You're not gonna remodel your bathroom.
Say that.
Stop it.
Yeah, you're not gonna do that.
Now, if you got the time, go for it. If you got the time to spend on doing these things, but if that's gonna stress you out, take you away from your marriage, if you out here fighting, y'all fighting each other over how the trim should be installed, or it's like taking away too much time, because I know a lot of us work full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And if you have the capability, tap into your family network. If you have family that has businesses where they do certain things around the house, tap into them to maybe get some friends and family discount. Get on Thumbtack. But yes, I just had to say that. I'm tired of the DIYs. It's too many DIYs.
Too DIYs.
Limit your DIYs.
Exactly.
Keep your marriage intact.
Yeah, do it to support your marriage. And then for me, one of the things that I've done is we hire someone to come in like every quarter or so to do a deep cleaning of the home. I'm talking the wall, washing the baseboards, and all that, like a full deep cleaning of the home. Otherwise, I maintain the home myself, which I enjoy. And then another thing that I do is factor meals. I used to be a heavy meal prepper, and I still do, but every now and then I want something a little bit different. And so we've been using Factor for maybe a couple years, and we don't get it every month. I think we do it every 2 months or so.
Yeah, every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then when we want something a little bit different, but it's like I personally do not have the time to create a new fancy meal every night.
Yeah, we personally don't.
We personally do not. But I also every now and then want something a little bit different. And so Factor allows us to have that versatility while also keeping it in line with like our macros and like our overall health goals. So I like it. If you haven't tried Factor, I'd recommend it. It's been working for us for a couple of years and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because cooking, getting the ingredients, cooking, washing dishes, that does take some time. Now, obviously, you want to do that as much as possible. Keep a healthy diet.
Yeah. Cost low.
But it does help to know that in your freezer, in your reserve, if you have a busy day, a longer day, you got a Factor there that you could to heat up and have a meal for that night. Yeah,
and that's exactly what we do. We'll get a box of the 6, we'll throw it in the freezer, and then whenever we feel like doing something different, we just go down there and get it. It's real simple. So I highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
And the last thing I love for this marriage.
Oh, you got another one? Okay.
Yeah, is doing this podcast.
Oh, doing the pod. How predictably cute.
What is it? What am I looking? No, never mind.
Are you going to look for a sound right now?
There's a sound for everything.
That's fine.
Well, I got a sound for it.
Oh, okay.
Doing
that
this
was
pod.
Good. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, doing this pod, we talk all the time. We always talking. We talk all day, every day. But it's also great to talk and connect with our friends and family and our new friends and family.
Yeah, shout out to y'all
in this pod journey. Because like we mentioned, we're long distance from our friends.
Yeah.
So we hope that listening to us in this format feels like back when we used to go to brunch.
Yeah.
Back when we used to go smoke hookah.
Yeah, back when we had little pool parties. You remember that?
So it feels like. So I hope the feedback we've been getting is that folks feel that way.
Yeah.
Nice. So I think this has been great for us in our socializing. Yeah. To connect with everyone on this pod.
For sure. That's such a good one. It's true. It's been so fun to do. And I look forward to 5 more years of marriage, maybe 5 more years of the podcast. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
But we'll see.
Yeah. So this was yet another episode of the Lovers and Things podcast. Keep loving the things.
And loving your people. It's so important.
Love y'all. Bye. One day I'm going to remember this outro.
I'm like...